What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Movement Mindset powered by Station Athletics. I'm Chris Hardenberg here with Dave Whitson. I mentioned it. I don't know when this is going to come out in order. Actually, this is probably going to come out next. So if you hear my voice and it doesn't sound great, it's because I was sick last week. I'm totally healthy now. You might hear a cough here or there.
Yeah.
That's why I don't sound the best. So fortunately for us, Dave's going to be doing most of the talking. But today's topic is we're going to be talking about the Open. So CrossFit Open just ended. And I thought it would be a good idea to kind of get on and talk about thoughts from the Open, like kind of what we thought about how things went, how things ran from, maybe a gym owner's perspective and a member's perspective, and then any thoughts we have coming out of the Open. So, where do you want to start?
We should probably go members, gym owners, or people managing the event, and then we'll talk about kind of CrossFit as a
whole.
thing. Yeah, the CrossFit larger community and kind of what this year's Open felt like for that.
So this is actually great because it's the first Open Dave did with us. So you got to experience it from there, and I got to purely do it as basically a member.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it from the member perspective. That's where you wanted to go first. So how do you think things went for them?
I think what was great about this year is that there wasn't any strange twists. Every workout was approachable depending on skill level. If anything, they might have overscaled for some of the masters.
Sure.
Like it's kind of
like watching Julie do jumping pull-ups. I was like,
or like her wall walk skill, even though the line's far for her, but it's like in the next phase, because she's qualified for the next phase, she'll have to do bar muscle ups and everything else. So, but outside of that, when it comes to programming, to be able to have every member be able to do it, it seemed like a very approachable Open, without it being silly. Like, I'm not sure if you remember when people were like, the first workout for the Open was too hard, people didn't want to do it, and Dave Castro was like, cool, first workout next year, AMRAP 7 minutes to burpees to a target.
Oh yeah.
And then the second workout was a snatch ladder. And people were like, we didn't like just doing the boring workouts. He was like, okay. The next year he was like, we're combining those two workouts, burpees in between increasing snatch ladder. Like, it wasn't anything like that. Like, we had barbell snatches, but they were 95, 65 was RX.
Yeah, they were not heavy.
And so every workout also had the ability to create a race or an experience against the clock that it doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so from week one to the last week, usually people get tired. And this year it felt like the energy went up as the workouts went.
Yeah, I thought I agree. I mean, to be fair, I only made it to one Friday Night Lights for various reasons, but my goal was to split time between Roseland and Sparta.
Yeah.
But the one night I was in Roseland, it was electric. Like,
oh yeah, and that was the hardest skill workout.
Yes, it was the bar muscle up one.
Yeah.
It was electric. I literally pulled Quan aside and was like, dude, it was not like this last year.
No, definitely not. Because I was at the Open last year because Nash was doing it, so I wasn't participating in it.
Yes. And then at Sparta, again, I wasn't there, but outside looking in, the themes seemed like people really got into them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
Courtney's into it.
Super into the theme.
Juan's into it. He like buys stuff.
I know. Yeah, the shark pajamas he came with or whatever. Yeah. But I agree. I mean, I do also think I was very much in favor when they switched it to 3 weeks as well.
Oh yeah,
because you ran a gym when it was 5.
Yeah,
I ran a gym
4 and 5. It's
bro.
Rough.
It's like
exhausting.
Like literally, your regular members are just like hanging on for dear life. They're just like, I gotta come again on a Friday night.
And the 5th week would be something so hard. People would be like, no.
Yes. Like
thruster burpee.
Yeah.
No time cap.
Yeah.
Just destroy it.
Or like the thruster row workout.
That was so bad too.
Like literally, like you knew the formula, and it was like you knew the last workout was just gonna kick your teeth in.
Yeah, thruster pull up, thruster something.
Yeah.
And when they started doing no time cap, it was like, this don't sound awful, but you feel bad for the one member where it's taking them 25 minutes where everyone else is taking 12.
Right.
And you're just like, doo-doo. And then you're trying to run heats and you're like, I really need to get the rest of these people out of here. Yeah, we gotta go.
So I do think 3 weeks was a good call because and again, when they switched the season to quarterfinals, which they're not really doing this year, and frankly, I actually don't even know what the season looks like this year, really.
Quarterfinals is pretty much been replaced by the Community Cup.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
It's the first year. It would be so hard for us to run the Community Cup. We're going to pull some workouts from it.
Sure.
But we have some people that really want to do it.
Yeah.
We're setting aside a place and a time for them to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's kind of replaced quarterfinals.
And that's where you can get, like, CrossFit can get more creative because it's like
Yeah.
you're segmenting like, okay, the Open is a community event. It's like we're gonna
Yeah.
pull people together, even though it didn't work so great this year. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But then from there, it was like quarterfinals are now the Community Cup. You can get a little bit more aggressive if you want
Yep.
to. But I agree. I do think that this was the first year that, or this was a year where, I mean, I even looked at the first workout and was like, oh, like this is not hard. Like this is not hard skill.
It's approachable.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very approachable.
Like,
yeah.
like if I'm new to CrossFit, I could look at that workout and be like, I could do that.
Even hang power clean and push jerks with a 50-pound dumbbell for guys.
Right.
Most of the guys can do that. And there was unweighted lunges.
Yeah.
Which was funny because you watch the Open announcement and it looks like the unweighted lunges didn't matter. And then you watch normal people and they started to matter way quicker than I thought. Because I mean, I'm sitting there watching Quan do it. And then next to him is someone who's been CrossFitting for 6 months. And it's like, they're doing the same thing, but it's a little different.
Something's different here.
It was kind of wild to see Quan. This is part of the cool thing I think this year too, is watching Quan do it on Friday nights.
Yes.
And he always did a third heat or fourth heat of the night. So enough people were there to see him.
Yeah.
And to watch him in the first workout where he's on the round of, I guess, 18 burpees. And I'm trying to yell out the time so everyone knows where they're at. And to see him notice the time and then just switch gears and go faster when everyone else is just trying to hold it together.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Like at that point, I'm like looking at the clock, like wondering how much time I have left. And he's just like up kicks it and just hammers it, just lays it down. And so everyone was able to see that. And so it brought something different too.
And it's really cool because like in the past, right, he's been super serious about competing to the point where it's like he wants to optimize when he does the workout.
Yeah,
and so to see him be like, obviously still very fit, but
he's top 10 for his age group.
Yeah. But to be like, nah, I'm gonna do it with the community.
Cool.
Like the members really appreciated that because they're used to watching Quan work out from afar.
Yeah, and some people have no idea the type of shape he's in.
Correct.
Like this is gonna sound funny. Last workout of the Open, right? Wall walks, rowing, wall walks, deadlifts, wall walk, power cleans, wall walk.
A great workout. A great workout for him, by the way.
Yeah, he did very well. Like, he probably can go faster, but he's not he's fine with it.
Yeah.
He's fine with it. Did it, hops on the rower, hammers in, finishes it. We start cleaning up as end of the night. He had more working out to do. So for people to watch him after, there was people on the ground after trying to row. I had 30 seconds on the rower. I thought I was going to throw up when I got done. Because I had 30 seconds. I'm just trying to pull as hard as I could.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I was just like, I don't feel good. Quan finishes it, high fives, goes around, sees everyone, and then he starts doing like shoulder to overhead complexes and some front rack or back rack reverse lunges.
At probably 8 o'clock at night.
8 o'clock at night, yeah. Just trying to squeeze in the rest of his training. Meanwhile, the rest of us are still trying to figure out what just happened.
What day is it?
Yeah, but that was part at Roseland was kind of a cool experience to see that. And then this past week we also had I'm forgetting her name. I've met her twice, but she was crushing the workout too.
Yeah.
And so there was a good amount of people where like, I think what was cool with it this year too, is that everyone had a moment. So we had a ton of people where they've never deadlifted 225, 155 in a workout. They did this year because it seemed a little bit more manageable in the workout.
Right.
Even there were some of them where literally 2 weeks beforehand, he PR'd his power clean at 135 and then he did 13 reps of it in the Open workout.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there's all these moments that kind of happen where I think in the past, some of that got lost, where this year got brought back. Even the pull up, the chest to bar muscle up, there was people that got their first chest to bar pull ups. We had some people that were going for the first bar muscle up. Unfortunately, in that workout, it's very hard to get your first bar muscle up.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, saw Chris do that workout. I was a little worried for him, a little worried, but you gutted it out somehow.
JJ, Dave's watching me do the workout and he's like, dude, you got to slow down. I was like, I'm going to be just fine. And then I did finish and I did okay, but it was like one of those things where it's like every once in a while, I still feel like I'm fit and I'm still like, but this is like the pace I should do. And then by like 3/4 of the way through, I'm just like, oh dear God, I'm going to die.
He has the skill set to do all the stuff that's going to pop up, right? He has all the skills. Is whether or not those skills are still there when your heart rate's at 160. So you were one of the first people back to the last barbell.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I look over and you're kind of half squatted down. You're
I'm like the stereotypical person who could get like like could super hurt themselves in an open workout because it's like skilled enough to do all the skills, but the fitness is not where it used to be.
Per perspective, you normally squeeze it in between meetings. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
take a
yeah.
6-minute class and try to get it done in 45.
And I'm usually on the call like, okay, then, all right,
Good. I'm good. I'm good. I
yeah.
just need to change my shirt. Just having a shit. I'm fine.
So yeah, so it sounds like things went really well at both our locations from a
Yeah.
member perspective. I agree. I do think it was approachable, and I think you said it off air. It was approachable without being silly, where it's
Yes. Yeah.
like, oh, we're gonna make the open approachable, and there's no skill involved, right? And it
Yeah.
did not have that. There were some skilled movements, but again, it was partnered and paired in a way that, at least outside looking in for me, no one looked like they couldn't participate.
No, yeah. I mean, at Roseland, there was people. He's over 60. He didn't want to do the open. And I was like, dude, this is the workout for you. And
Yeah,
he came the last 2 weeks. And I
great.
didn't have to get on him to come the last week. I'm like, did you regret coming? He goes, no, no, that was great.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it was a very good year for that. I think also, I think we all fall into this trap. Sometimes we fall into the trap of making the workouts like the wow part,
mhm,
where it's really the wow part is the members, whoever's doing it, they create the wow moments.
yeah,
So Dave Castro talked about this years ago, where he's like, don't get stuck into fancy.
yeah,
Like the members, the clients, the athletes at competitions, they will make the moments. You just have to give them a workout that allows them to make the moment. Like, it
yeah.
doesn't need to be the thing, which all of us will talk about this year's open, not because of the movement, but because of how we felt and what we saw during it.
Now from I'll call it an administrator
Yeah, yeah,
perspective, right? Whether you're a gym owner or you're a general manager or whatever, you were administering the open to the people.
yeah.
So what was some of the thoughts or feedback you had for that category?
It was by far one of the better years to do it, because sometimes in the past it would get a little too complicated. Putting down a ton of tape lines every 5 feet for
Yep.
whatever. And uh, the one year it was a great workout. It was overhead barbell walking lunges, 25 feet one way, do burpees over the bar, 25 feet the other
Yes.
way, chest to bar
Chest to bar,
call.
yes.
And
20-minute AMRAP.
yeah, yeah. I actually have an old video and picture of Nas and I doing it head to head. It's
That's
pretty fun.
fun.
It's when Nas and I were closer in fitness.
Yeah.
It's kind of gone the wrong way. But there wasn't anything crazy. There wasn't any crazy extra rules. And most of the extra rules are to make it easier to judge and easier to submit. But sometimes they kind of get out of hand. But it was very easy to set up. So almost no matter what size space you had, you're good. Because even the walking lunges, it was 15 out, 15 back.
Something like that.
It was 30 total.
Yeah,
Or,
it wasn't far.
or no, was it 15 or 10? 15. I should
15.
know I set it up. I should really know what it was.
I don't know, and I did it. But
Yeah.
I do think it was 15 out and 15 back. So it wasn't 25 each way. So you needed
Yeah.
50. It was shorter.
Yeah.
And it was unweighted. So like because it's unweighted, you can pack people closer together.
Oh
if
yeah, you
need
weren't
to.
worried about it. There was no 5-foot lines.
Yep.
It was if you got no reps, you just go back to the previous line,
Yep.
like all the way back. And then even, I know some people didn't like this, but for the wall walks, they had a universal standard instead of measuring off the shoulder, because people really started to mess that up. And I get like it's not the best for every person, but I think it's okay to do still. Yeah, it was 5 at a time. The really tall people, their hands were stuck all the way back. The really short people, they're a little bit out in front. The scale almost looked worse when it comes to breathing than the regular wall walks,
Oh, really?
because you end up holding like a hollow hold plank with your feet against the wall. And you try to
Yes.
move your hands. And so people were gassed from it,
Right.
which is, oh, maybe we'll just add that to the repertoire for classes when we have to scale.
Yeah, but even with the wall walk, like, yes, it would be awkward if you're shorter or taller. But if you're shorter, like it feels bad, but you're theoretically should move faster on the barbell. Right.
Yeah, that workout was the only, because you can always be like, oh, this workout's a short person workout, this person's that. That workout balanced out because
Yeah.
there was so much rowing.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that was what the other thing I was going to say is like the tall person is in an awkward spot on the wall walk. They can't cycle as fast on the barbell, but they're going to chew up the rower. So it's like everybody on body type had at least something in that workout that you're like, okay, well, I can make up time here.
And the simple fact is Colton Mertens at whatever height he is, destroyed
Exactly.
the Iron Hog, just wrecked everyone.
Yeah, I think he finished third or something like that.
Yeah,
in
he's
that
first
workout.
overall. He went 1-1 and I think 2 or 3.
Yeah,
Just absurd.
that is absurd.
And he did the workout twice in a certain amount of time, because he went on a online competition, Kill Taylor, just to win the money, to show up Hopper and Taylor Self to
That's
win the
so-
money. And
so
he
funny.
had redone it like the day before or something is when he did it.
He's like on a warpath, this guy.
Oh yeah, it's great. I love it.
Um,
And
but-
he sells dogs. He breeds little tiny dogs.
What?
Yeah, yeah. He just had like a pack of 8 of them that he just sold. It's the weirdest thing.
That's
Anyway, but
super weird.
back to running it, there also wasn't any weird standards.
Yes.
It was very easy to judge.
Like
It
the
was
old school handstand push-up standard.
all with like this and that and sure, yeah, it's a lot. There's always someone where it doesn't work for them. But
Yes.
yeah, I think overall, I like wall walks as an open movement because it's so easy to judge.
Yeah,
Where handstand push-ups are because they're replacing handstand push-ups as an open movement.
sure.
Handstand push-ups is like, well, their butt hit the wall, so it doesn't count. They're overarched, so their heels aren't going over the line. Well, their feet went wider than the 30-inch tape line, so it also doesn't count. But how do you seal that at one time when you're someone who literally is a member at the gym who just got done with the workout and your eyes are still focusing since you were just upside down a whole bunch for the previous workout?
Yeah.
There's none of that this year.
And it's also tough because it's like movements like that are going to be tougher for your average gym member than someone like Marquand. So like those folks theoretically move better too. So like it's easier to see faults in the elite athletes because they generally move better.
Yeah, all the best in the sport move incredibly well.
Right.
They just do.
So yeah, I agree. I think it was a really fun open for those two things. But the other part is the community as a whole. Like what are your kind of your thoughts on where things sit right now with that?
So well, first off, last year was a very rough year. Someone
Yeah,
died at
you
the game.
think?
Someone died at the games.
Right.
Right. And there's been a whole bunch of reports. Uh, there was town, county, and I think state police investigation, all this other stuff. And it looks like it's just a horrible, horrible accident.
Sure.
Just awful. There's some stuff I don't understand. Like there's 2 paddleboard lifeguards right there.
Yeah.
There's all these things that don't make sense to me. And then as I read the reports, and because I enjoy diving and all this stuff, because everyone's all upset about it. And it's kind of like, don't get upset till you know everything, because otherwise you just look like a fool. Either way. And so it was rough. What's been interesting is since we're kind of in this age of social media trends going towards like, I'm a good person because I'm canceling something and you should do it too,
Yeah.
because you're not a good person if you don't. I get where people are coming from, but I think we also get lost in what social media is saying versus what reality is.
Mhm.
And so it seemed there was a whole bunch of videos like, is CrossFit dying? Is CrossFit dying? Is CrossFit dying? I don't have an answer for that. I don't think it's going to. They're in the process of selling again.
Yeah.
And so they stripped down all their overhead and stuff like that. I think part of it too is some of the athletes got a little too big for who they really are. Because the simple fact is, if they were really as big as they think they are, according to our social media, people would have showed up to semifinals to watch them. And most of them, they didn't.
Right.
Sorry to say it, but like maybe they don't have as much influence as they think they do.
Sure.
And they're not in affiliates either. And so what was interesting about this year, there seemed to be a new rally around the people that are like, cancel CrossFit, cancel the Open, I'm out. Well, I'm having my whole gym do it and I'm still an affiliate, but I'm out. And it's like,
Right.
that's confusing. And then don't say it's because of morals, because you're literally running your whole business on it still.
Right.
So it's not really a moral decision, because moral decisions, you would change more things. So there was a lot of confusion online. What was kind of interesting, I'm not sure if CrossFit organized this, but Rich Froning did a tour. Tia Claire Toomey's going around. Games athletes were in affiliates more than ever. Part of the reason why semifinals is in affiliates, to get the athletes back involved.
Okay.
Because the games athletes were always seminar instructors. They were at level 1s. They had certifications. They were in affiliates. And they're not anymore. And they're not connected to the community. And the simple fact is the games never have turned a profit.
Right.
And so the only way that it actually succeeds, or the only way it happens every year, is the affiliates and the members at affiliates support it. And if you forget them, you're done.
Yeah.
And CrossFit kind of fell into that in general the past few years with the sale and the new CEOs and everything else. And it's not as simple as people think it is. It's way harder to run a company than anyone knows. But for whatever reason, between people saying I'm out, and then the Open and CrossFit in general becoming back to like, hey, it's hard. And if you don't like doing hard things, maybe you shouldn't do this. And kind of going back to being who they are instead of trying to include every single person on the planet, and just having no standards like within stuff to try and get as many people. It seemed like this year's Open and this year the athletes that are still part of it created a rally point to kind of re-engage after. It felt very much like old CrossFit.
Yeah.
Which it hasn't since before lockdown.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, it hasn't felt like old CrossFit, in my opinion, since 2018.
Yeah. Yeah.
When-
Media team.
When Glassman fired the whole media team, and it went from highlighting the affiliates
Yeah.
and highlighting, Right, they did highlight the athletes, and as someone who
Yeah.
was into the sport, I did like that, and I know
But
it's
they
not
they did highlight affiliates though. Savon used to always highlight
always
affiliates.
highlight
There
affiliates,
was
like
affiliate commercials during the games.
correct,
Yeah.
and that all shifted to, like, the old man in the couch lifting the
Yeah, it was a
antifreeze,
sudden switch.
and that was what was really hard in 2018 was I think Glassman didn't like where things were going, and so he took the ship, and instead of being like, "We're gonna just slowly turn the rudder to get it
Yeah.
back on course where I want it," he whipped it around. The whole boat went like this while it was like trying to
Yeah,
turn.
yeah.
And it kind of, at least at that point in time, basically he sent the message of I care about the one side of the pendulum, which is the very people who don't have access to fitness, people who are
Yeah.
fighting chronic disease.
Yeah. 4 buckets of death and whatnot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or the elite of elite. The
Yes.
people in the between, I don't give a crap about, is basically the message he was sending, in my
Oh, the
opinion.
way it went? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
with how things went. So then you couple that with, okay, things got wild around lockdown for
Oh,
a
yeah, it got crazy.
multitude of
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna hash out that whole thing, but that happens. He sells CrossFit.
Yeah.
Rosa comes in and tries to reinvigorate what CrossFit was.
And it didn't go so well.
No, but you know why I think it didn't go well was because it felt betwixt and between, like there was not a true vision of what is CrossFit now.
So hindsight on this, kind of a weird thing. They hired a marketing company out of New York where no one did CrossFit to market what CrossFit is.
Yeah, it's
And so
like
they hired all these outside people, and most of those people are gone. And it's kind of going towards CrossFitters running the CrossFit company again.
yeah.
And even the company that's mostly going to buy it, they are a fitness based company.
Well, and that's what I think that's where people got nervous was Rosa brought in an investment group,
Yeah,
which they've never done.
there's always going to be an investment group
Yep.
from now on. Yeah.
Which is what it is. But I don't have any qualms with that. It's a business, right?
Yeah.
Like I get that. I think where people got bent out of shape was because, again, you have people who have no fitness background trying to direct a fitness
Oh,
company.
it was bad.
And it's not like trying to direct a fitness company in the sense of like Lifetime, which is very corporate,
Yeah, it's
or
different.
Equinox, which is a wellness fitness brand. It's like you have this weird thing where it's like this brand associates with counterculture fitness wise. It also
Yeah.
associates with an affiliate program, which those big box gyms don't do. And then it also associates with a sport.
Yeah. The CrossFit Games is a double-edged sword. There is a difference between I play basketball and I'm in the NBA.
Correct.
What is the difference between I do CrossFit and I go to the CrossFit Games? They have the same name in them. And so I think one of the things that, as an old school guy in this world, when it comes to CrossFit was always a training program to help you be better outside the gym.
Yeah.
Fulfillment center,
Yep.
right? Like we
Yep.
talked about. And then it became CrossFit is going to train you to be better at the open.
Right.
And so it's kind of a weird example, but jiu-jitsu was a self-defense program. Now jiu-jitsu is how to beat other people who are really good at jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Which it doesn't carry over to real life as much because it's so specialized. And I think we almost got too specialized to the point where we're doing only competitive movements with people that, I'm sorry to say, they're not competitive.
Right.
They're trying to be competitive in their real life, not necessarily like they're not trying to go to the games.
Yeah. And
I think that got lost somewhere in this weird transition.
yeah,
too.
because like with CrossFit, it's like you can be competitive in the gym as a means to be, like you said, competitive in life. Like,
Yeah.
like part of what makes CrossFit fun for people is it's gamified. Like
Yep.
it's not going to the gym and exercising.
It just happened this morning because the workout ended with a run.
Okay.
And so there was a race.
Right.
And like, that's good.
And that is
It's
good.
good.
That's
Yeah,
how it
yeah,
should be. Right. But you're right. It's like, but there also has to be an element of, but remember, this guy's an accountant. Right. Or like,
He has 3 kids at home.
Right.
He's an accountant. He just bought a house.
this woman's a preschool teacher. Right.
Yeah.
So like, we want you to be the best version of yourself. But like for people who don't, this might sound bad, but don't care necessarily on being as efficient as humanly possible in a movement so they can get the best time in the world.
Yeah.
It's remembering that like, okay, hey, we want you to move well. We want you to do the movements to the best of your capability
Yeah.
and not venture outside yourself, except for maybe like the 1 or 2 times a year we try to test.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that's where it's like trying to get back to that. And I agree. I do think it felt anyways. I'm only going to speak from my experience. It felt like when I first got involved in CrossFit, and
Oh,
maybe part of that
the
is,
open announcements too and
yeah,
everything, Froning coming back out, being
yeah.
the face of things.
Which, by the way, smart move by them to bring Rich back in.
Yeah.
Really smart, because you don't have a Rich or a Matt
Nope.
in the
Well,
sport.
there's Hopper, Dial. Now we're getting into the weeds a little bit.
We'll
Hopper,
come back.
Dallin, Sprague,
Yeah.
and then Colton's in there too, where it has that old feel where they're all in affiliates in and out of stuff,
Yes.
but they're also very open and honest. They have a podcast where literally they talk trash to each other the whole time.
Yeah.
They have bets every week on the open. Like someone's supposed to shave their head now, like all sorts of stuff.
So it's cool that we're getting back to that. The question is, and I don't have an answer for this, and I don't think you do either. The question is, because in my opinion, I've been saying this to people, I think CrossFit as the methodology in the sport isn't going anywhere. I just don't, who knows what the business is going to be like. And I do think
they've tried to sell the CrossFit Games off before and no one wanted to buy it because it's never turned a profit.
Right.
I think as long as they go affiliate focused again,
then they'll be fine.
They'll be fine.
And that's where I hope they kind of get back to, again, I think everyone, anyone who's been in this long enough longs for it to be like 2018.
Well, that was like the peak of this ramp up where there were storylines about athletes. There was growth, and then it was just seminars with all different specialists.
Yes.
And, yeah.
And so it was like peak time where it was like, I think that's what people really want. And I hope they get to that because they've been trying to go back and forth, even with the affiliates, like trying to provide support for them that they never provided before. But the problem is they're too late to the party at this point. Like
there's too many other people that are doing it better than what they're doing.
Correct. And people are willing to pay those companies to help them figure out the business side. But so listen, all in all, guys, our lessons and thoughts from the Open is top down now. Who knows what's going on with CrossFit, but it felt like things really went in a very, very positive direction. And we're really excited about it.
Even with all the negativity and the drop off in people and signing up, it was still a very successful Open overall in general for CrossFit.
Yeah.
Despite the numbers not being there, everything else, there's momentum. People were excited. People were energized even the last week.
And you can carry that momentum. You know what I mean? Like, like, yes, they had a huge drop off in signups, but they executed well this year. And so if they execute across every level well, who's to say that, you know, the people who did the Open at our gyms this year that maybe didn't sign up on CrossFit, they're like, I'm going to sign up on CrossFit next year, you know? And then all of a sudden you see a 10 to 20% increase the next year, right?
That's rebuilding.
Exactly.
And the games are in Albany and I'm going.
You are?
Oh, I'm going. Quan and I are going together, I think.
Oh, that's friggin' awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to try and go with them. Yeah, it'll be fun. Because, I mean, it's in Albany.
Why not?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go.
You should.
I'll look into that.
I have the email with the ticket prices for affiliates.
Legit, send it to me after this.
All right.
Everyone knows now. If I don't show up, they're gonna be like, "You said you were gonna go."
It's a good time, and there's no bad seats at that Coliseum.
No,
no, because we've been there for regionals and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So listen, guys. Hey, thanks for listening. Hopefully, you took away something from what our thoughts are on the CrossFit and the Open. As always, guys, like and subscribe to us on YouTube and Instagram. Give us a 5-star rating on the podcast platform you listen to us on. We'll see you at the gym.